Portland, sidewalks aren't just for walking, they're for dying. People lie motionless on concrete, needles still in their arms. Children step over bodies to get to school. And the smell of human waste mixes with burnt fentanyl in the morning air. This isn't a crisis, it's a collapse. And it's happening in plain sight. Portland's sidewalks have become graveyards of forgotten lives. People sleep on concrete, wrapped in torn blankets, while others inject poison into their veins just feet away from passing cars. The city, once known for creativity and progress, now battles a storm of addiction, untreated mental illness, and urban decay. Tent cities stretch for blocks, overdoses happen in daylight, and the line between survival and death is drawn in chalk on the pavement. This isn't just homelessness. It's a humanitarian breakdown, and it's not confined to Portland. It's spreading across America, one footpath at a time. In this documentary, we expose the raw truth behind the crisis, unfiltered, uncomfortable, and urgent. Welcome to Globe Path Travel Documentary. If this story matters to you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video to help raise awareness. Let's make sure these stories aren't ignored. A city on the brink. Portland was once a symbol of innovation and inclusivity. Today, it's a city where sidewalks have become bedrooms and parks have turned into open-air rehab centers. This isn't just urban decay, it's a humanitarian collapse. In this documentary, we expose the brutal reality of tent cities, rampant drug addiction, untreated mental illness, and the policies that fail to protect the vulnerable. Brace yourself. What you're about to see is raw, real, and deeply disturbing. Portland's unfolding humanitarian crisis. Portland, Oregon, once hailed as a haven for artists, activists, and innovators, is now home to one of the most visible humanitarian breakdowns in the United States. More than 6,000 people are homeless in this city, but the number doesn't tell the full story. Because this isn't just about people without homes, it's about people without safety, without treatment, without options. Walk through downtown and you'll see it firsthand. Tents pitched on sidewalks, sleeping bags laid out beside storm drains, and cardboard shelters pressed against storefronts. These aren't temporary setups. For many, the footpath has become a permanent address. There's no privacy, no plumbing, no protection. Rain floods the tents, wind tears through the tarps, and when winter hits, hypothermia becomes a silent killer. Sanitation is non-existent. Human waste collects in alleyways. Trash piles up beside sleeping areas. Rats and insects crawl freely, and the smell of urine, mold, and burnt chemicals lingers in the air. Drug addiction is rampant. Fentanyl, meth, heroin, these substances aren't hidden. They're used openly, sometimes in broad daylight, sometimes in front of children. Overdose victims lie motionless on sidewalks until someone calls for help, if anyone does. Narcan, the life-saving drug that reverses overdoses, is now as common as bottled water among outreach workers. But it's not a cure. It's a bandage on a hemorrhage. Mental health crises unfold in public view. People scream at invisible enemies. Some walk barefoot, bleeding, talking to themselves. Others sit frozen for hours, staring into space, lost in psychosis. And still, no ambulance, no counselor, no intervention. Violence is constant. Fights break out over stolen blankets, food, or space. Women report sexual assaults that go uninvestigated. Some tents are burned down in retaliation. Others are slashed open while people sleep. And yet, despite all this, many Portland residents walk past these scenes daily, numb, overwhelmed, or simply unsure what to do. This isn't just homelessness. It's a humanitarian collapse unfolding in real time, and it's happening in one of America's wealthiest nations, in a city that once prided itself on compassion and progress. The question isn't how Portland got here. The question is, how long can it survive like this? And how many more lives will be lost before something truly changes? Safety nets with holes, policy failures. Bureaucratic gridlock. Portland's crisis isn't just visible on the streets, it's embedded in the systems meant to prevent it. The city's support infrastructure is buckling under the weight of need. Shelters are overflowing. People line up for hours hoping for a bed, only to be turned away when capacity is reached. Some sleep sitting up in waiting rooms. Others return to the footpath, defeated. Mental health clinics are booked months in advance. A person experiencing psychosis today may not get evaluated until next season, and in that time, they may be arrested, assaulted, overdose, or simply disappear. Drug rehabilitation programs are critically underfunded. Outreach workers report that even when someone is ready to seek help, there's often nowhere to send them. Detox centers have wait lists. Long-term recovery housing is rare, and relapse is treated like failure, not part of the healing process. Many individuals cycle through a brutal loop: jail, hospital, street. They're arrested for trespassing or drug possession, released without support, hospitalized during a crisis, discharged without housing, and then back to the sidewalk. Footpaths have become permanent homes, not by choice but by necessity. People live beside traffic, under scaffolding, in alleyways, anywhere they can find a sliver of space. Some have lived this way for years, aging in public, deteriorating in full view. Meanwhile, city officials debate solutions. Some propose sanctioned camps. Others push for sweeps and criminalization. The result is paralysis. While policies are drafted and redrafted, people overdose, freeze, and vanish. The safety net isn't fraying, it's torn wide open, and those falling through it are the most vulnerable among us. If you have thoughts or solutions about this crisis, we want to hear them. Please share your perspective in the comments below. Why people become homeless. It's not just drugs or laziness. Homelessness is often misunderstood. It's easy to blame drugs, laziness, or bad choices, but the truth is far more complex and far more heartbreaking. For many, homelessness begins with trauma: a violent home, a sudden job loss, a medical emergency that wipes out savings. One crisis leads to another, and before long, the safety net disappears. Mental illness plays a massive role. Schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, PTSD, and severe depression are common among those living on the streets. These aren't just mood swings. They're debilitating conditions that distort reality, impair judgment, and isolate people from help. And most of these conditions go untreated. Why? Because therapy is expensive, psychiatric care is limited, and without an address, insurance, or ID, many are locked out of the system entirely. Addiction often begins as self-medication. A construction worker takes painkillers for a back injury. A teenager uses anxiety meds to cope with trauma. Over time, prescriptions run out, but the pain doesn't. So they turn to heroin, meth, fentanyl, whatever numbs the suffering. Once addiction takes hold, stability vanishes. Jobs are lost, relationships collapse, evictions follow, and the final refuge becomes the footpath. Living on the street isn't a lifestyle, it's a last resort. It's where people go when every other door is closed. And once you're there, getting back is nearly impossible. No address means no job applications. No job means no rent. No rent means no recovery. It's a vicious cycle that traps thousands in plain sight. So the next time someone says they chose this life, ask yourself, who would choose to sleep on concrete, surrounded by danger, ignored by society. If you've ever judged someone living on the street, we invite you to reconsider. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Who's most at risk? The faces behind the crisis. Portland's sidewalks aren't just lined with tents. They're lined with stories. And behind each story is a person society failed to protect. Veterans haunted by war live in isolation, battling PTSD and addiction. They served their country only to return home and sleep on concrete. Flashbacks, nightmares, and untreated trauma push many into substance abuse and out of stable housing. Teenagers rejected by their families, often for their identity or beliefs, find themselves alone on the streets. LGBTQ+ youth are especially vulnerable. Many flee homes where they were abused or disowned, only to face exploitation and addiction in the very places they sought refuge. Women escaping domestic violence often have nowhere to go. Shelters are full, support is limited, so they sleep in tents, with their children beside them. These mothers live in constant fear, not just of their abusers, but of predators, illness, and the cold. Seniors, too, are part of this crisis. Some lost their pensions, others were priced out of housing. Now they age in public, battling diabetes, arthritis, and loneliness on the footpath. Mental health issues are everywhere, but treatment is rare. Many suffer in silence, misunderstood and ignored. And the longer someone lives on the streets, the harder it becomes to recover. Trauma compounds, hope fades, and society looks away. These aren't statistics. These are people. And every one of them had a life before the sidewalk, a job, a home, a dream. If you believe no one deserves to live like this, tell us why. Share your thoughts in the comments below. The systemic web, how everything is connected. Portland's homeless crisis isn't just a failure of housing, it's the collapse of an entire ecosystem. Rents have skyrocketed. A one-bedroom apartment now costs more than many full-time workers earn in a month. Wages, meanwhile, remain stagnant. Even people with jobs are living in cars, shelters, or on the footpath. Mental health infrastructure is crumbling. Clinics are underfunded, psychiatric beds are limited, and therapy is a luxury most can't afford. So people spiral, quietly, invisibly, until they end up on the street. Hospitals discharge patients with nowhere to go. After surgery, after overdose, after psychiatric evaluation, they're released back into homelessness. No follow-up, no housing plan, just a bus pass and a warning slip. Prisons release inmates directly into the crisis. Many leave with no ID, no job prospects, and no support. Within weeks, they're back on the footpath or back behind bars. Rehab centers are closing. Funding cuts have gutted long-term recovery programs. Detox is short-term and relapse is common. Without stable housing, sobriety becomes nearly impossible. And so the footpath becomes the final destination, not because people chose it, but because every system failed them. Healthcare failed to treat. Housing failed to shelter. Justice failed to rehabilitate. Social services failed to respond. This isn't just Portland's problem. It's a blueprint for collapse, one that's being replicated in cities across America. If you believe these systems need urgent reform, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters. Government response, efforts, failures, and what's next. Portland's government has thrown everything at the crisis. Tent sweeps, sanctioned encampments, mobile health units, emergency funding. But the results? Fragmented, inconsistent, and painfully slow. Tent sweeps remove people from one sidewalk only to push them to another. Belongings are lost, medications are trashed, and trauma deepens. These sweeps don't solve homelessness. They just move it around. Sanctioned camps offer temporary relief, but they're overcrowded and under-resourced. Some lack running water, others are plagued by violence, and for many they feel more like containment zones than safe havens. Mobile clinics try to reach those in crisis, but they're stretched thin. Mental health outreach teams are underfunded, understaffed, and overwhelmed. They respond to emergencies but rarely have the capacity for long-term care. Drug treatment remains reactive. People are treated after they overdose, not before. There's little investment in prevention, education, or community-based recovery, and relapse is treated like failure, not part of the healing process. Housing solutions are slow, expensive, and buried in red tape. Affordable housing projects take years to build, vouchers are limited, and landlords often refuse to rent to those with criminal records or addiction histories. Meanwhile, the crisis continues. People overdose on sidewalks, children grow up in tents, seniors die alone in alleyways, and the public, exhausted and desensitized, grows numb to the suffering. Without bold federal intervention, systemic reform, and community-driven solutions, Portland's collapse will not only persist, it will spread. If you believe the government must do more, share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice could be part of the change. Conclusion: what will we choose? Portland's footpaths were never meant to be homes, but today they are lifelines for thousands, people who've been pushed out, broken down, and left behind. Behind every tent is a story, a veteran haunted by war, a mother escaping abuse, a teenager rejected for who they are. These stories aren't rare, they're everywhere, and they're unfolding in plain sight. Every overdose on the sidewalk is more than a tragedy. It's a failure of healthcare, of housing, of compassion. These aren't isolated incidents. They're symptoms of a system that waits until it's too late. This isn't just Portland's problem. It's a warning to every city, every community, every leader. Because when sidewalks become shelters and addiction becomes routine, we're not just witnessing poverty, we're witnessing collapse. And the question we must ask isn't, how did this happen? It's, what will we do now? Will we look away, or will we confront the uncomfortable truth? Will we scroll past, or will we speak up, support change, and demand accountability? If this documentary moved you, don't let it end here. Share it, talk about it. Support outreach programs, demand mental health reform and housing justice. Because silence is complicity, and change begins with awareness. In the heart of every tent is a human being, and every human deserves a chance to heal. We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you believe needs to change? What will you choose? If this documentary opened your eyes, don't let the message fade. Every share, every comment, every subscription helps amplify the voices of those who are too often ignored. Support the mission by hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and turning on notifications so you never miss a story that matters. This is Globe Path Travel Documentary, where we uncover the truths others overlook, and give voice to the voiceless. Together, we can turn awareness into action, and action into change. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay compassionate, and stay connected.